episode 355, we'll be talking about the newest episode of AEW Dynamite. Right here, right now, 360 Wrestling Fanatic. And welcome, wrestling fans, to a new episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Once again, as always, I am your host, Lance Brock. Thank you for tuning in right here on Spreaker or wherever you are listening. It's Wednesday night, and you know what that means. It's time to talk about a new episode of AEW Dynamite. Tonight, Dynamite was live from Lexington, Kentucky at the Rupp Arena. The commentators, Tony Schiavone, Excalibur, and Taz. We start things off with the Jericho Appreciation Society tag team action. Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara, with Daniel Garcia in their corner, taking on Action Andretti and Absolute Ricky Starks. Pretty good match to start off the show here, I thought. Daniel Garcia interferes in the match, and Sammy is able to pin Andretti to score the win for the JAS. Tonight we saw a very nice tribute video to Jay Briscoe, as we found out yesterday that the main event will be a special tribute match. One half of the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions, Mark Briscoe, taking on Jay Lethal. And next on Dynamite, the AEW TNT Championship is on the line. Darby Allin with Sting taking on, representing the House of Black, Buddy Matthews. Darby retains in a pretty good match, and then we see Tony Schiavone in the ring try to get a word from the TNT champion Darby Allin, but that is interrupted by Samoa Joe on the screen. And then we find out later on that next week on Dynamite, it'll be Darby Allin defending against the former TNT champion and current Ring of Honor television champion Samoa Joe in a no-holds-barred match. Tag team action is up next. All Ego Ethan Page and Matt Hardy taking on the team of Jungle Hook, Jungle Boy Jack Perry, and Hook. This is a pretty good tag team match here. Jungle Hook getting the win, their second match teaming together. So far, these two work very well together. Jungle Boy and Hook. Good to see them together as a tag team, in my opinion anyway. Then after the match, Ethan Page and Stokely Hathaway were upset with Matt Hardy. Backstage, Renee Paquette is with Hangman Adam Page. He says he wants to knock out Jon Moxley in Dayton, Ohio next week. And Wheeler Yuta comes up now, challenges him to a match this Friday night on Rampage. Our next match, the American Dragon Bryan Danielson taking on the Machine, Brian Cage. The stipulation still, Bryan Danielson has to win every match to get the AEW World Championship match against MJF at AEW Revolution March 5th. Really good match. Cage working over Danielson in this one, but is Bryan Danielson getting the win, and then after the match, Cage attacks Danielson, and then we see MJF make his way to the ring, grab a chair from the timekeeper's table, about to break the arm of Danielson, but then we see Konosuke Kateshka. I can't say, have trouble with his last name, sorry about that. Make the save for Bryan Danielson. Toni Storm versus Ruby Soho next. At one point during this match, Storm kind of teases that she hurt her nose. Of course, just back at Full Gear not too long ago, she suffered a broken nose. So the referee's checking on her. Soho looks concerned. But it is just a trick. Storm playing possum. And then we hear the music. The doctor is ready to see you. Or the doctor can see you now. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, makes her way onto the stage to cause a distraction. Ruby Soho picks up the win. And now time for the main event of the evening. In a very emotional match, Jay Lethal and Mark Briscoe. Great match. And definitely hard hitting, and just like Jay would have wanted it to be. And one point during the match, first Jay Lethal puts Mark Briscoe onto the timekeeper's table, but Briscoe ends up getting up and getting back in the ring, and then Briscoe hits the froggy bow on Lethal through the timekeeper's table. And Mark Briscoe gets the win with the Jay Driller, pinning Jay Lethal. And after the match, we see the locker room make their way out to the stage to show their appreciation as tribute to Jay Briscoe, as the graphic, the memory of graphic was on the screen. And you can tell Jay Lethal very emotional in this match. It could tell it meant a lot to him. And Mark Briscoe as well definitely put on a great tribute to Jay Briscoe, which is too bad. Couldn't have done this last week, but I guess Tony Khan has worked out something with TBS to allow him to do it this week. And that was this episode of AEW Dynamite. Very good episode. Had some good matches. on this show, and the tribute match to Mark or Jay Briscoe was very good. Mark and Jay Lethal put on a very good main event. So, good episode of AEW Dynamite overall. And some news real quick about the Celebration of Life tribute episode to Jay Briscoe that was recorded after last week's Dynamite will debut just in a little bit at 1 a.m. It will be available on Honor Club, the streaming service, for free though. You don't have to subscribe to watch it. And it will also be available on the Ring of Honor YouTube channel for free. So I'm not sure how long it is. Probably not too long. So definitely worth checking out. I would say at most maybe an hour. I'm just guessing. But I'm sure that is also a very nice tribute as well. So thank you for tuning in to this episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic, episode 355. Appreciate everyone for listening. Remember, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, 360 Wrestling Podcasts at gmail.com is the email. As always, stay tuned right here on Spreaker or wherever else you listen to the podcast for more episodes of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. And we'll be back tomorrow morning with a brand new episode of Good Morning Wrestling Fans. This Saturday, we have the Royal Rumble. I definitely plan on having a recap of that. So stay tuned this weekend. One of my favorite shows of the year, always the Royal Rumble. Just because of the Royal Rumble match. It has always been one of my favorites. Usually get excited about it no matter what else is going on in the storylines at the time. I just enjoy the Royal Rumble match. But that is this Saturday. Until then, I am Lance, and I am a wrestling fanatic.